Hello everyone and welcome to another video. In this one we're going to talk about 2020 reading resolutions and plans. So let's start out by looking at my Goodreads challenge, and this year I've set my challenge to 70 books and I have already reached that goal. I'm actually on book 82 now, so everything I read in December is just bonus. So I'm really happy with this number, and I think I'm gonna set it to 70 next year as well. But let's look at what I read this year, and let's check out some of these books on my Goodreads Read shelf from my challenge. Alright, let's look at the books. I have my computer down here with me, so I think I'm gonna share my screen with you so you can also check it out as I go, and I'm just gonna briefly talk about the books I've read. The first one on this list is the last book I read, which is Elizabeth Gilbert's City of Girls. Then I read two books by the same author duo, J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, and I enjoyed Illuminate better than Aurora Rising, even though I'm intrigued to continue Aurora Rising. Then you can see a lot of thrillers here, and the one that stands out for me is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and I think The Wife Between Us. I really like those two. You can see Sally Rooney's Conversations with Friends. I knew I'm gonna love this one, and I did, so I can't wait to pick up Normal People. More thrillers. I have read all of Ruth Ware's books, so I have a video on that. I'm gonna link somewhere for you. And then I started Andrzej Sapkowski's The Witcher series with the short story collection, which is the thing you're supposed to start with. I'm so excited for that series coming out on Netflix soon. I want to mention two fantasy books here. The Black Witch, which is kind of an underrated book by Laurie Forest. I really liked it. And then Catherine Arden's Winter Night trilogy. I read the first two books in the series. Highly recommend. A lot of YA coming here. I think I read some romantic comedies in the summer. And then for a video I read five very popular YA books, and the one that stands out to me more now is Sadie by Courtney Summers and The Poet X. These are overhyped, and they're quite worth the hype. I really like them. And then Disappointment Was Internment by Samira Ahmed. And then we're coming over to Mark Lawrence's Holy Sister. I read the whole Book of the Ancestors series, and it's one of my favorite series. I highly recommend it. The Priory of the Orange Tree was a bit of a letdown, too long, dragged out, did not enjoy it. In the summertime, I read some Jane Austen, and I read some Jane Austen retellings. I really liked Unmarriageable by Sonia Kamau. I think that's the one I would recommend of these. Yes, and then we're coming over to some non-fiction I read about Korea. I would highly recommend you to pick up a biography of someone escaped from North Korea. There are several out there. I started out with The Girl with 7 Names, and that's one which sticks most in my head. So I urge you to pick it up, or something similar. There are a lot of these autobiographies out there actually. I have read J. Kristoff's The Nevernight Chronicles, the first two books in the series. Highly enjoyable, very good books. And then what else? There are some literary fiction in there. I haven't read as many as I wanted to, so I'm gonna pick more up. The one that really stands out now is Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss. It's a short one, but a really punchy one. So if you want to get into Sarah Moss's books, I think you should pick that up. It's a quite good one. I have started Robin Hobb series with The Royal Assassin. I'm going to continue in this world. She has a lot of books, in 9 or 12, pretty chunky ones as well. The Poppy War was also a pretty good one. I have finally finished the last book by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, The Purple Hibiscus. I think she writes so well about Nigeria and life in Nigeria and different topics, but all of her books are amazing. And I'm coming over to the last ones here, and the one that stands out here among these ones are The Wicked King, of course, by Holly Black. I mean, it's just so entertaining, her books, and I really enjoy this series. I can't wait to pick up the last one in this series, which came out earlier this month or last month. Really, really good one. And then what else? Yes, maybe mentioning that I was pretty disappointed by Kingdom of Copper and by Reaper at the Gates. So these are both pretty popular YA series. I think they're YA anyway. And I think I'm gonna quit with the series. I just lost interest somehow, and they're just not that good. I mean, comparing it to Red Sister, for example, here on the page, you can't even. I mean, it's really, I mean, Red Sister is much, much better, I think, in my opinion. And then I also want to mention Susan Dennard's The Blood Witch. I think this series, Witchland series, I think it's called, really outstanding as well. So there you go. So what do you think? A pretty fantasy heavy reading list, right? I think even though, yeah, there were a lot of fantasy in there, but most of these I actually enjoyed. Quite good books I picked this year, I feel. Compared to last year, 2018, where I was kind of disappointed by the fantasy books I read, I think this year I did a much better job at choosing the right ones for me, at least. And to start off with my plans for next year, I think I'm gonna continue in the same vein in reading more adult fantasy, for example. I wanna get more into Robin Hobb. I wanna finish the series I mentioned, for example, the Winter Night trilogy. I wanna finish Nevernight Chronicles, the Cruel Prince series. I don't know what's it called. I want to finish that, and then maybe get more into Brandon Sanderson. I want to finish the Witcher series. I'm currently reading the second short story collection, which you have to read before you start with the actual series. Quite a commitment, right? So more adult fantasy. I think they're better suited for me at this point. I'm not going to say no to young adult fantasy, but I think I'm going to pick those up which are really hyped and popular on BookTube. So as soon as I see mixed reviews, I'm gonna say no, because I have recently DNF'd 2 popular young adult fantasies which were pretty hyped on BookTube, and I saw the mixed reviews and I continued reading them anyway. It is The Gilded Wolves by Rashni Chashki and Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So I DNF'd both of these, but yeah, just proves the point that I read, for example, also Illuminate, which is overall hyped and popular on BookTube, and I enjoyed that. But the mixed reviews ones I tend not to like, so I'm gonna skip those next year. Looking at my list here, I see that I wrote down as first point reading my own physical books. So the books behind me. These are always put to the side because I always go to the library and always pick up more books from the library that I can read, and then I have to read those because they expire. I have to take them back, and maybe there's a long waiting list. So I'm gonna try to be more selective with the books from the library and focus on reading my own books, right? I have some challenges for this, which will kind of push me in the direction of my own books. But what else I said here? I want to continue to read mystery thrillers. I really enjoy this genre, and I can't believe that I haven't read any before October this year. So crazy. I'm definitely gonna continue with that. I want to buy less books. Not that I have bought so many this year, but I think I'm gonna be even more selective with what I buy next year. And then to go over to some of the challenges, I'm gonna participate in the challenge of reading some classics. So Lucy from Lucy the Reader has just put up a video where she wants to read classics next year. So 2020 is her big classics community reading challenge, and I want to participate in that. So I decided to read one classic a month, so that's 12 classics for next year. And then I want to read some of the chunky books on my shelf. So I have also picked out 12 of my biggest books from my physical shelves to read this year. And there's a bunch of different ones in here, fantasy as well, so those should be quite easy to read, for example. And I think that is basically it. I wrote here in capital letters, no pressure, so I don't want to pressure myself to read a lot, and I just want to enjoy my reading. So I'm okay with maybe not reaching the 70 books, but if I read mystery thrillers, maybe that should be easy because they're so fast reads. But again, no pressure. I want to enjoy my reading. I don't want to feel rushed, which I kind of felt this year when I had so many books out from the library. I felt that I needed to read them fast because, again, they were expiring and I had to take them back. What do you think? Do you have specific reading plans for 2020? And if so, what are those? Please tell me. I'm really curious to see what other people do, what other people choose to read, or what kind of plans they have. So I guess this is it from me, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.